I want to tell you why I got into mini four-wheel drive racing. So yeah, there are many hobbies out there. Some people like to sew, some people like to cook, some people like to clean. Uh, so I decided to race these little race cars, and they're pretty cool. The first time I ever got involved with mini four-wheel drive racing, I was in a flea market kind of atmosphere in Seattle, Washington, and it was during one of my breaks from work. And yeah, I was just walking around the waterfront one day, and I happened to pop into this little flea market. It's like an Asian flea market where there aren't really like stores inside, so to speak. I mean, there were stores, but they were made of like caged compartments, so it was almost like it was like a temporary kind of store kind of place. And you walk around these bunch of caged areas, and one of them had Japanese hobby stuff for sale. And one of the things I saw were these cars, the mini four-wheel drive cars. So I bought a couple of them. I bought a Black Stalker, and I bought this one as well, the Thunder Boomerang W10. Yay! And this is based on the old STZ chassis. And this is a really cute car, isn't it? Like, I bought this, I bought a white one, I bought Black Stalker, which is a black one. I built this, and I had asked the person who was at the store, I said, so what do you do with these? Like, is there like a motor that I can put inside them? And it said something about a motor on the box, but I didn't read it carefully. And he said, yeah, you can put a motor in there. You could buy a pretty weak motor and put it in there, and it'll run okay. But you can buy a really strong motor, and you put it in there, and it'll run really fast. And he said, I want the fastest motor you sell. So he sold me a black Hyper Dash motor, and the motor is right here. I still have this motor after all these years. My black Hyper Dash motor. Black Bell Hyper Dash motor. Yeah. So I put it in this car. I turned it on. I dropped it on the ground. Not on a racetrack now, because I didn't know that there were racetracks for these cars. And the very first time I dropped it, it went zoom, boom, right into the wall, dented the wall. There's a hole in the wall from where this thing hit the wall. And then I turned it off. I quickly turned it off. And I just shoved it back in the box, and I put it away for like well over like so many years. I think I got this back in like 2000 or so, like maybe prior to that, because I was in Seattle like a long time ago. And I just packed it away, and recently I unearthed it, and there it was, and the batteries were still in the car. And then I tried turning it on, of course, and it didn't turn on, and I noticed that the batteries had leaked acid, so I had to like remove the batteries and clean out the insides to make sure everything was fine. And then I just put in a fresh set of batteries, turned it on, and it worked. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. And then I did some research on mini four-wheel drive stuff, and I found out there were races with this. Like, people were competing in races. And it was like, this is so cool that there were all these races. And there were like young people entering, old people entering. There were men and women entering. And it was like, so this is a hobby for everybody. And that's what was so cool about it. Everyone can get into this. Young, old, yeah, male, female, yeah. You can be a rank beginner and build a car that could potentially beat someone who's much more experienced. And there's like a little bit of luck involved with things, but it's like, yeah, if you have enough skill, you'll be able to get your car to stay on the track, and it'll beat other people in this race. Yeah, so you basically study the track, try to analyze what's going on the track, and account for everything that's on the track. So to me, it's like a puzzle, right? The cool thing about this is it's a puzzle. You're trying to use the limitations of your car, the strengths and limitations that is, and try to traverse this track properly, successfully, and also try to get the best time out of your car. That's what's so amazing about this. That's what's so fun about this. It's like nothing you've ever seen, right? This is like, this hobby is very foreign to a lot of American folks, but in Japan, in the Philippines, Korea, it is like so popular. But here, it's like not too many people know about mini four-wheel drive. And that's where all of these great like hobby shops and groups out there, that's where they all come into play to try to promote this wonderful hobby. Yeah, we have wonderful hobby shops here in the East Coast, like Hobbytown, AAA. We have wonderful groups available here in the East, West Coast, all over the world. We have Deep Pit Stop. They want to promote this hobby in a big way here in the US. And that's awesome. So take a look at these cars. This car is like amongst one of the cutest cars around. I feel that it's cute because it's got these big wheels. I love big wheels in a car. However, big wheels in a car, as cute as they may be, not always the best thing for a lot of tracks, right? So if you've got some jumps on a track, for example, sometimes these big wheels don't allow your car to land properly. You'll get a big bounce after a jump with these big wheels. So sometimes you want cars with smaller wheels, such as this. And this is meant to basically hug the track better. Yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. So yeah, this is like heavily armored, as you see here, with rollers on the sides. I mean, this one, when you first buy a kit, right out of the box, you get these little plastic rollers. Sometimes they have rubber O-rings around them. And yeah, they're okay for slow speed motors. But if you want to put a higher speed motor in your car, such as an atomic tune motor or a hyperdash motor for your B-Max style cars, you want to build your car so that it resembles a tank. Yes, pretty cool. I looked up all of these various racers out there, ones who were racing in America. There were people like Shell Shock and T Hiroki in Japan and Mono Green, and you probably know all the big names, right? So you've probably seen all of their videos. And I said to myself, you know what? All of these people have these wonderful racing pages. There doesn't seem to be a racing page for the absolute rank beginner who wants to get into this, because there is a learning curve, right? So there is a learning curve that's basically shoots straight up, and it's not just like linear, it goes like woo, right? So the more you learn about this hobby, the more you find out that it's a very complicated hobby. It requires intricate, detailed knowledge about a lot of things. And so you could study this stuff to your heart's content. You can be an A+ student in physics in high school and college, and you still might not capture all of the essence, all of the little details, the fine details of this hobby, unless you have a lot of experience racing these cars. So yeah, it's so cool. And you know, like they actually have schools, classes, professional classes, and you can sit down and actually learn all of these things, and that's awesome. And yeah, so I recommend that if you are able to take these classes, please do so, because they will help your racing knowledge tremendously. So very, very cool. So here we have the Thunder Boomerang. It's based on the old STZ-X platform. There are a lot newer chassis out there. There's FMA, which everybody likes, which is a front motor mounted chassis. There's also a number of rear-mounted engine chassis that people love as well, like VZ. There's also the mid-mounted engines that have the dual shaft motors, like the MA and the MS chassis. And there are people out there who design their cars. Ooh, I don't have it right here, but they have these flexible suspensions. So yes, they have like springs inside, so that when the car jumps off of a slope and lands, it safely lands, and there's a cushion, a spring cushion to land on, so that you don't have that huge bounce like other chassis will give you. So the goal of like these non-suspension chassis is to try to minimize that bounce. With MS suspension chassis, you've already got that covered, basically. So there's going to be a minimal amount of bounce versus a lot more bounce with non-suspension chassis. So a lot of things to learn about in this hobby. And for some people, it's not just a hobby, it's like a way of life, right? There are some racers out there in Japan who do nothing but race. That's their life. And they win all the big trophies and stuff, like this thing called the Japan Cup, which like the best of the best racers race against one another, and they go for cash and prizes and everything. It's so cool. So yeah, it's a very exciting hobby. The local races here in America, we have prizes for these racing events where you can win a car kit or parts for a car, things like that. Or in my case, in my events, you can win comic books and cars and stuffed animals and things like that. So pretty cool, pretty cool. There's so many awesome events that are popping up all over the place in little spot remote locations sometimes. So you have to be kind of on like the lookout for these events. You have to go onto Instagram, go onto Facebook, just do a little search for Tamiya Mini 4-Wheel Drive, and you'll see a whole slew of things possibly in your area, events that will pop up. And you know what? Go to one. Just go to one and see what it's all about. I say just go to one, attend one, just watch, observe, analyze, see what it's all about, see if it's for you. And then if it is, go out to your nearest hobby store that sells these. Go buy a kit or two and start building it and see how fun it is. Now, the first couple of car kits, you might end up with something that's not very race-worthy, but that's okay. You're learning. You're learning how to get your hands wet, so to speak, in terms of how to build these cars. So yeah, pretty soon there's going to be a beginner's course at AAA Hobbies in Magnolia, New Jersey. I'll be teaching it, and you'll be able to learn how to build a basic car kit. Yay! And there are more advanced courses in the works coming up. So yeah, don't miss those. If you're in the Magnolia, New Jersey area and you have some time on a weekend, come to one of the courses. Pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, this is one of my loves right now, just building these little cars. For me, I hear the sounds of the motors and it just calms my mind, because the motor sounds sound like notes to me. And when you have notes all combined like together, you get hopefully a harmonious sound, and it sounds so good, feels so good. It kind of like soothes my soul. So cool. So yeah, if you like this video, everybody, please slam the like button, subscribe to my channel. You'll see more videos just like this one. Until next time, everybody, see you. Bye.